So, what do you see as the number one priority issue to deal with if you're elected?
Great question. Again, thank y'all very much. My name is Gerard Hudspeth. I'm running for County Commissioner Precinct 4. I appreciate your support. So most important in my mind is the traffic congestion and plan, because everything spins off that. Economic development, the city's viability, the communication, the frustration, the ability to bring in people to support businesses, to travel back and forth. That is the primary thing. And then the second thing would be safety, to make sure we're partnering with the ICE component, that we're partnering with the state when we're all the way down, that we're making sure we keep our community safe, because you don't have a private security detail. That is the responsibility of the local cities and the county and the state to make sure we keep you safe. And then a third part of that is 1A, 1B, 1C is taxes. I'm going to be at the local level intimately involved in every school board race, from Crum to Alliance Airport, over to Lantana, Roanoke, Bartonville, every last one of them, wherever there's a school district, wherever there's a city council race, intimately involved, because that's where I can get you the most tax savings fastest, and I'm committed to doing that. Thank y'all very much for the opportunity to speak for you.
Question? Sorry.
I think that kind of got added at the end, but
You're driving me crazy. I'm just kidding.
yeah. So, Denton County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. And have you evaluated the need for additional jail beds? If so, what does your analysis show? And if not, why not? The part that was added related to Dianne's distinction of mental health patients being part of the jail process, and how the responsibility for those inmates was incumbent on the city or the county.
Okay. So coming from the perspective of not having the internal information and details, mental health is, my mother was a psychotherapist for years, and I remember her always being on the phone with patients late at night who were having crisis. And I think MHMR does do a good job. I've been there, I've witnessed some of it, and asked a lot of questions again in that realm. But I've also raised a teenager, and I know teenage daughters. She's here, so love you, dear. But yeah, I'll tread lightly. But my point is on that is that's a difficult age range. And so I've been close to the schools and the counselors, and I see a lot of what's going on. A lot of teens, for instance, needing mental health. And always the thing of, where do we go? What resources are out there? And MHMR is the one that always does come up. And so I think that they do a good job for what they are, but I think that there can be better, that it can be better. I don't know if it's a funding issue or what, but I think that is something, an area that I would certainly dive into and look at very closely. Thank you.
Going to start back at this end, and I guess this is the last question that I have set up.
Hi, my name is Gerard. I'm the mayor of the city he just mentioned, and I'm asking for your vote for county commissioner. So I'll dive right in. I've not seen, full disclosure, I've not seen the report, but it goes back to what I just said. We have to work with those other electeds. The sheriff has control and responsibility over the jail. He's doing great work, and I want to partner with him, just as the county has, to make sure he has what he needs to see those reports and make sure. But then also, if you picked up on it, it was mentioned that he has been monitoring that, and he partners with other counties to alleviate that issue temporarily. And so then it becomes incumbent upon me as a county commissioner to then communicate that back and say, okay, what's the plan? Here's what you have, here's how many beds we have, here's how many we can then temporarily move, those sort of things. And then also making sure, which you've not heard uniquely, is to work with the DA's office, because other counties do that. You prioritize the frequent flyers to make sure you document everything so that they're not coming back. And yes, I am uniquely qualified amongst everybody on here. I deal with this every day. I have for 5+ years. And the answer to David's question is UBH, because the city of Denton stopped allowing you to drop people off at the shelter. So now they bring them to UBH for an exam, if that's a mental health facility. They're there for a couple of days, and then they're out, and they don't go back where they came from. They stay in Denton. So how do we address that? We have been addressing that, but forward-looking, as Denton addresses that and the numbers get lower, where are they going to go? To other cities. You need a county commissioner that understands how to document those cases. Somebody that spent 5 years in Denton with the same naked guy getting out 3 days in a row and being naked every day. And how do we deal with that? Well, we know how to deal with it, and we have a good process, and we're getting better about that every day. So, thank you. I appreciate you. And so that really is it's about reporting, one, to recap, working with the sheriff, working with the DA, limiting those exposures, and then making sure we address those things in a holistic manner, and then also dealing with the nonprofits to make sure, and I deal with that regularly every day as well, with United Way and those sort of things, to make sure we rehouse 48 people from the Denton shelter, and we cut down the number of people allowed to be at the shelter to make sure that we're able to get them the wraparound services. So if you want to get back, we put them to work. People at the shelter go to work, and so we partner with Denton Freedom House. They go to work. They have contracts. So. And then I'll tell you this, why we have a shelter in Denton? Because the U.S. Supreme Court said you cannot move people from public property if you don't have a place for them to go. So other cities better watch out, and you need somebody that understands that law so that we can stand up something so that you have an answer in Argyle so that they can't just be there because you don't have a place to put them. It's an informed decision. Thank you.
Woo! Yes.
Still hasn't come back. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stand up for 2 minutes to the first question about, do we need more beds? So I've done a study about more beds. Would I support more beds? And then in the last minute, I'll wander into mental health. Oh my. I, of course, as Valerie said, not being in the job, I have not spent all the detailed time that I would put into the job if it was my job. I do have that unique perspective. I'm going to get a call from my son-in-law. He's going to say, quit talking about me up there. I do understand that the jails are pretty packed with people. I also understand that if we could get the 287G program up and running, which they're working very diligently on, we were on course to get the 287G program under Trump 45. But there were so many people getting into it, there was a lag, and then the other guy got in office and cut them all off, and so it fell to the wayside. After Trump 47 got in, they got started up again, they have sent the people to training, they're working, Tracy's doing a great job of getting that put in place, but we still have a great number of people in our jail that are simply on ICE retainers waiting for ICE to process them to get them out. And those numbers are not readily available. I can't say that it's the majority of the people or it's a third of the people, but it is a great number of the people from what I understand. And so if we were to flush them out of our jails and get them down the road on ICE, that would probably set us back into a pretty good place. But if Denton doubles in size, it makes sense that we need to hold them out of jail. Good growth like that will happen, and hopefully we can get studies put in place and we can build well and build efficiently and do the right thing. But number one, solving of that problem is to get the 287G program up and running and get those illegals out of our jails. And as far as the mental health side of it, are we going on? Okay, now we're going to go for a whole minute of mental health. It is a problem in the jails as well. For some reason, Denton has attracted all of the homeless people in the region. Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Dallas County. Something's going on in the city of Denton where they're attracting homeless people. And I don't know how that happened. they're not coming to Robeson, they're not coming to Argyle, they're going up to Denton. And the easiest thing for 3 hots and a cot is to just go cause some trouble. And they'll come arrest you, and they'll put you in the jail. Then you act crazy, and they kind of hold on to you for a while. That is a big problem in the jail. There are people there that are truly just wacky. And I don't envy those guys that do that work. They're the hardest working people, our jailers. But maybe if we weren't putting those magnets in place to attract so many of those crazy people to Denton County. You know, don't Denton my county, folks. All right, thank you.
If you could hand the microphone back, Diane, just to redirect. I heard the conversation about the mental health and the issues there, but I don't think that answered the question about jail beds. I understand that we have plenty of people on our streets, and we have since this city was founded, and we have in the city of Dallas or any other city in the surrounding area that have mental health issues. We aren't going to get them all off the street. That's not going to happen. And if we create a bed for them that's a mental health bed as opposed to a jail bed, I'm not sure that we're served any better for that either. So if it's about jail or mental health, where does that choice make? If they've committed a crime, then they're a prospect for jail. I'm just trying to make the delineation that you didn't make. So how does that work?
Well, I'm sorry that I didn't make that clear for you. But there are definitely criminals versus mental health inmates. We cannot, according to the sheriff, we can't just put somebody in a bed that is a criminal and say, well, you have mental health issues, so we are going to treat you differently. The judges, and there are a lot of our judges here tonight, will often sentence someone to a mental health treatment board or to mental health treatment that the county can sometimes provide. Do we need more beds in the jail? Yes, I think we do. Yes, the sheriff thinks we do too. But how are we going to do that when we can't handle, until maybe the next couple of months, the people we already have? Sometimes we get caught up in, let's say, wishful thinking or the hopeful as opposed to the actual possible. I work closely with the sheriff, as does Commissioner Williams, and I think he's doing his very best. We're going to have more need for more jail beds as long as we have people moving into Denton.
Thank you.
Much more to this question than I think all of us realize. For example, I've seen the study that the sheriff has done. He's looking at things like overtime, double shifts, days off, etc., doing his very best to present us with some options. But let me make the point that we haven't even talked about yet. Do you know what the largest mental health hospital is in Denton County? It's your county jail. It's your county jail. And these are people on the whole who have mental health issues, but they're being held as prisoners. We're doing our best to look for ways to solve this problem, but just throwing money at it is not going to help. We've got other things. The MHMR department, in fact, the head of that board right now is a volunteer that I appointed to that board, and Ryan has some good appointments on there as well. Mental health is probably the most serious problem this county has right now. Frankly, this state, maybe the entire country. How many times when you hear about a crazy act happening, a mass shooting, whatever, that you talk about, well, they had a mental health issue. Yeah, they did. But how are we going to handle that? I'm personally trying, I know Commissioner Williams is with me on this, we're trying to look at the mental health resources here in Denton County, how much of it is provided by the state, and how we can make sure that we're doing the best job possible for our residents, some of whom have mental health issues. We approved a plan called the Ambassadors, which is really good. If someone is having depression or other thoughts that are not healthy, they can get in touch with one of these ambassadors and we'll help them navigate the various things available to them to help them get past this crisis. I think this is a very, very important issue. It's one that I want to delve in more deeply, and I would appreciate your vote to put me back in to allow me to start doing that. Thank you.
I'm gonna pick up on one of the issues little bit ago. And Denton County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. And I want to know if you have done an evaluation on the need for additional jail beds. And if so, what does that analysis show? If you haven't done one, why not?
Okay, so that's kind of an interesting question for somebody who's a candidate and hasn't been in the position. But from what I have observed in terms of commissioners' court meetings, and I think this was referenced earlier, that we need more jailers, and we're running over, either constantly needing more money to fund all of that process at the jails. What I am aware of is that I think in February, Denton County Commissioners Court passed the 287G agreement to be doing that. And I would assume that if 287G, as most of you may or may not know, is working with ICE on the jail level. So if you arrest someone for a crime and you find that they are undocumented, they're illegal, they can be, I always say deported. So, and I would think that that's a process to make that happen faster and get them out of our jails. So to me, that would be a place I would look at to see if there are inefficiencies there. But I think it needs to be scrutinized from top to bottom in terms of the jail process. Are we housing others longer than we need to be, not getting reimbursed for it? Are they being shipped to us? And those are things that I don't have my hands on now, but I would definitely be doing a deep dive to find out everything I can about it and see if there's issues there. Thank you. I found the budgeting process to be very interesting. I attend court just about every Tuesday, Commissioner's Court, to observe, and have been doing so for quite a while I've been looking at this position, and if it's something that I want to do, which I do. And and I've been asking a lot of questions of different people that touch the budget that can help explain things to me, and I've been reading it and was just watching it very closely. But my mindset as well, from a sense of frugality, is how can we always do better and look for inefficiencies and get rid of them. So one of the things 30 years ago that was real big was being I can't even remember what it was called, it was corporate training on how to be a black belt in looking at every element of a company and how you can drive efficiencies. And we were in broadcasting, so we were all about 5 nines of reliability, providing reliable service, but also that affected our bottom line dollar. And so we were looking at things from dollar perspective, from budgets. So I look at, as I was asking a lot of questions about the county budgeting process, I was told that I can be that squeaky wheel in this process. And when I am in office, if I'm elected to office, be able to be very, very involved and ask as many questions and get as much information, open book, open disclosure as possible, and look for inefficiencies and talk with people, because I think we need to constantly do that. We are going to be, I think our economy in general as a whole, we have got to, as governments, we've got to stop spending, we've got to get lean and mean and efficient, and there's a possible train wreck coming. So we've all got to be cognizant of that and treat it as we would our own dollars in our pockets. Thank you.
Correction. Not all the county's department heads are elected officials. There are several elected officials, yes. But for example, our budget officer is selected by the county commissioners. The executive director for the human resources is selected by the county commissioners. There are several department heads that are not elected officials. I respect what Gerard said, because as elected officials, we have our own department, if you will, but we don't have free reign. And I'd like to speak to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's a good friend of mine, and we have been, I'm sure Ryan will back this up, we've been watching the sheriff's department for some time with a little concern, because at one point we were paying over $100,000 every month to Cook County Jail or some other county jail, because we didn't have the staff to adequately supervise, according to state law, our own prisoners. But the sheriff got busy, we got busy, we did increase the pay for these detention officers, and now I'm happy to tell you that we are just this close to being fully staffed in the sheriff's department. He has almost 100 people in the pipeline right now, and that will take care of the problem. Yes, it was a big problem, but we worked with him, and I think we're on the verge of having that solved. There's no way that we cannot support our law enforcement, whether it's the constables, the sheriff, or our local PD. They take care of us, they keep us safe. We have to make sure we're giving them the tools, the staff, whatever they need to do their job. So, the zero-based budgeting thing, I don't have a problem with it in principle, but our budget starts less than a month after the last one has gone into effect. So it's really hard to get from there to zero. Thank you.
So I believe the question was, would I support the use of zero-based budgeting?
Correct.
And most of it's in the corporate world that I've seen, but in every case where you just allow things to continue like they were, they grow. You know, waste and abuse and just not caring happens by not setting the counter back to zero every budget cycle. And there's not a budget out there that you can't find some efficiencies in if you take a look at it. We can reduce the size of government. We haven't, but we can. And zero-based budgeting has proven to be a very effective tool in doing that. Now, as I said at the start of the evening, my son-in-law, he's a jailer at Denton County Sheriff. And they had a plan in place, and they were going to step up everybody's pay on a good basis to get them where they needed to be in the marketplace. And then that just kind of fell by the wayside. And that was when they took the dip because, you know, the morale went away. And we need to figure out how to allow them, as Gerard said, to continue to operate in ways that will get the best out of all the departments. But don't ever just turn a blind eye and not reset that counter to zero every time. I'm a big fan of zero-based budgeting. Thank you.
Previous question about budgeting. And along those lines, would you be an advocate for a zero-based budget process to be implemented within your purview?
Hi, my name's Gerard. You know. So I'll say this, right where I left off, perfect timing, thank you very much. You don't, at the county level, those individuals are elected. They are there every day. They're doing the work every day. Sheriff Murphy is doing the work every day. The judges are doing the work every day. They know what they need. They present those things to the county commissioner's court, and then you evaluate those things. You ask great questions, but then you provide that. But it's also important to know they have autonomy once you give them that budget. They are elected just like I am, and I respect those boundaries. But I certainly will work with them. I'll certainly advocate and certainly make sure that the Precinct 4's interests are known and educate you on here's what we anticipated, here's what we discussed, and those sort of things. So I am very comfortable as a conservative in understanding those boundaries. I'll say it this way, if I'm barking, then I want to be able to bite. If I can't bite you, then I'm going to concede that and just say, hey, let's not, here's what I'd advocate for, here's the budget I think that we agreed upon, and provide that for those different elected officials and allow them to do their job and what they campaigned on and what they elected on. So I think that's a very important part of the county, is to make sure we all respect the boundaries and make sure we hold each other accountable. And amongst all that, we have to communicate. So that's really the key, is to communicate what we're anticipating, what we're expecting, make database decisions, and then report back to you so that you see those things and you can hold us all accountable, because you're all our bosses, and so I respect that. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. Good evening. My name is Gerard Hudspeth. I'm asking for your vote for Denton County Commissioner Court Precinct 4. And I'll say this, I have had firsthand experience in the public space for the last 5 years as mayor, 3 years preceding that. And please mind you, I was elected in 2020. You may remember that because that's the pandemic, that's Winter Storm Uri, that's protest over George Floyd, that's protest over the Confederate monument. we jumped right in the middle of all those things, and it was a great learning opportunity for me. And in the midst of that, we also approved a police substation because safety is critically important for me. And we also passed a budget for a indoor firing range so that our officers can practice indoors and not have to be outdoors anymore. And I am the victim of, again, a majority progressive council, but through leadership, we're able to get those things done, working with the city manager and those that would, Jesse Davis was there at the time, and some others have helped me along the way. And so I have a history of not only getting the budget passed, but prioritizing safety. And then I'll also say I worked with the county judge and a number of other mayors when it came to the appraisal district. That's a big issue. We needed new leadership there. He led the charge. I signed on to help to make sure we had the right leadership there. That also goes to budget and to making sure we have the right leadership that's mindful of your tax dollars and what you're paying in. And so those are critical to me. And then lastly, I'll say that it is, again, the county is changing and you have to have a level of cooperation. The city is different because you have department heads. Well, in the county, every department head is elected. And so I'm here to tell you, I have a great relationship with that throughout the county to work with those department heads to get them the budget they need so that they can go out and execute and support them in every way. Thank you very much. I'm asking for your vote.
Well, there is some advantage to experience. My whole life has been doing project, contract, application development work. I've had 2 stints where I spent time in the corporate world with American Airlines and Pratt & Whitney Aerospace. And as you're managing information technology initiatives, you design the project, you get it all costed out, you get it approved, and then you go execute and you implement it, and it has to be under budget. You can't have overruns. You don't last that way. Over 30 years, I worked on 40 different projects. And so managing that project work in the private sector is one thing. Last 3 years, I've been serving in Argyle as the president of the Municipal Development District Board, and they spend in an economic development sense the quarter-cent sales tax that's collected in Argyle and ETJ. And as Dianne says, it's a lot different to spend public funds than it is to spend corporate funds. But the ins and outs of what you've got to do to get either work with the contracted vendors or get bids, I've had to go through that as well on a multi-million-dollar budget every year with them. So that's been some good experience, and it'll be different when you're spending $400 million at the county every year. That's what it is. It's up from $250 4 years ago, 8 years ago. But I think I'm up to the task. Thank you.
I have had experience both in the private sector and the government sector in doing budgets. And I came to the government sector fully expecting that it would be easier than the private sector. Well, it's not. When I ran my own company, and we did a phenomenal company for a number of years that we family who started and sold. If I wanted a new file cabinet, I ordered and bought and paid for a new file cabinet in the county. If I want to remove paper, I've got to make sure that I can give a line item to the auditor to tell what particular pot of money it's supposed to come out of. But you know what, y'all? That's good. That's your money that's being spent. When I had my own company, I was spending my money. But now that we're spending your money, I want you to know that we look at that very, very carefully. Our budget is October 1st, is the beginning of our fiscal year. And our budget process starts in August for the following year. We're running a year ahead every time because there's so much that has to happen. Commissioner Williams has brought us a salary survey firm that is evaluating all of our salaries compared not just to other government entities, but to the private sector. We want to keep our good people. And sometimes you have to do that by increasing their salaries or their job descriptions or whatever. We're in the process of looking at that now, Commissioner. Thank you for bringing that in. It's something that it's easy to criticize and talk about when you haven't had to do it. I remember efficiently as possible. Thank you.
So, I was not aware of the accident or someone happening today, but I did hear when the light was initially installed. I heard a lot of comments, so I went and drove it myself from every direction to see what was going on, and I saw the turn lane issue. I had to take a deep pause actually to make sure I wasn't doing the wrong thing. So, but in the interest of how I can approach a solution and how, as commissioner, would I be approaching these projects with solutions and how to get involved, is I think it requires, we need more communication, dual flow communication. And this precinct obviously has the most infrastructure projects and growth. And I think that means people getting involved more, the constituents getting involved more, to be able to participate as the commissioners are giving more information. Maybe it's quarterly updates in person. I want to run a very accessible office. I am doing a lot of knocking on doors right now and talking to people, and I enjoy going to the different sections of the county because everybody has different issues, very different issues. And but the common thread when we talk about transportation, people are very upset, and it just comes down to what they feel like should have been better planning years ago. What would I do as commissioner? I'd be out in the field, meeting with these the developers and the engineers and getting my arms around it, and then being able to come back and communicate more to you than just purely the report that comes out. It's great and informative, but it is difficult to parse through and read. So I think there needs to be better communication on the planning end. I've been participating in the outer loop meetings. That's another big project, and I think it's important that people get involved, but also to know that those meetings are happening to get you there involved with your input. Thank you.
Thank you, Val.
It's interesting to hear people who have not really been involved in the process critique what has happened. Let me point out that, for example, the state legislature has greatly diminished the abilities of the counties to do much of anything. Now, the cities still have zoning they can do. Counties may not zone. Counties can't collect the sales tax. So there's a lot of things that the counties are handicapped in thanks to our state legislature. One of the things I'd like to point out is that we are working with engineers right now for the 35W Rosen Ranch hole under the bridge. I understand what y'all are saying, absolutely. But you can't cure overnight what has accumulated for some time. We are going to have a better situation. I'm going to be honest, it'll probably be 1.5 to 2 years from now before they get all that done. In the meantime, we're working on 407 with a kind of a Band-Aid situation because they have a huge problem just like ours. As a matter of fact, since we've cut Cleveland Gives Open, some people come from that side, from 407, they come over here to go on Rosen Ranch Road. We recognize that. It's not unsolvable. It's just that the engineers have to do their part, and I have done my very best to keep you all informed on what is going on. I can tell you we are going to be doing some restriping out here at this traffic light. We are going to have some signs further up to tell people there's a traffic signal ahead. Folks, if you don't recognize red means stop when you see a red light, what can I do? I mean, there are just some people that either don't look or don't care. I think it doesn't apply to them. We also know, and I did not know anything about a light being hit today, I did hear that a woman riding a bicycle was run over by a golf cart. So, you know, what are we going to do, ban golf carts? I don't think so. Thank you.
Well, this style of question is going to get pretty easy by the end because all the answers are going to be out there already. But yeah, a few months ago during one of the commissioners' sessions out here, I believe it was on the economic development, that evening there was a major pileup out in front of the ranch there at the gate. And in response to that, she guaranteed everybody that we would have a new traffic light out there in 2 weeks. And sure enough, in 2 weeks they were out there, digging holes and putting it up. But when you're reactive like that to collisions and carnage, you rush things in. And that's what happened here, just as Gerard said. There wasn't time to develop all the plans of how to do the striping and how to do the approach and where the signs go and and that they normally do when they're working intersections. But that's okay. They also screwed it up over in Flower Mountain when they rushed 407 and 2499. They're having to go back and do millions of dollars of rework on those turn lanes too. It happens. Lack of planning. State roads. County runs that. Let's plan better. Let's think about what we're doing. But don't think about it forever. Let's think about it, plan it, get it done. I'm a systems architect by trade. You know, I design things. Let me design some of this for you. David Wylie, thank you.
Another one. But this has to do with that traffic light that sits out there. Are you aware of any problems associated with the new traffic signal at the main entrance to Roehrs Ranch? And I'd like you to elaborate on that. But before you do, I'd like to know how you would improve it, because I understand that one of the lights was hit today. Is that right? Did I hear that?
Is this for her or for start?
It's going to be for everyone. I believe a light was hit today. The light out there was hit today, as I was told. Not to mention the fact that there are a number of vehicles streaming through at both lanes a light that's only supposed to have one lane as a turn signal. Not the ideal situation, I would say. I'd like to know what the fix is long term there.
Well, I'll say this. Thank you for the question. If there were one thing I would point out, it's a joint effort. That's key. It's the city of Denton pulled in the light, worked with the county to have it installed. That's how it should work countywide. And then the issues with it, yes. Who knows what the plan is long term for that? What phase are we in? What's next? That lack of communication as far as what's the plan. If you just put something in place and don't have a plan around it, then that's the struggle. And so I'll represent to you, again, I forgot to say, my name is Gerard, and I'm running for County Commissioner Precinct 4. And what the difference would be this. If you think back to President Trump 45 versus President Trump 47, in 45, he came in, was generally effective, but in 47, he has come in laser focused in getting things done, and that is the difference. I have those experiences in the city with getting things done day one, and we will continue to do that. So the problem is that it's a problem, and it was placed expeditiously to address a problem, but it didn't have a plan associated with it, a phased and well-communicated approach. And so, yes, the problem is that left-hand turn lane is what I'm told is confusing to people. And in the commissioner's last update, they talked about moving a sign further back that said, hey, this is a turn lane up here. But that wasn't done in the beginning. It's retroactive, and that's because there wasn't a plan. I'm coming in day one in March, if I can get your vote, to start a plan that you can see, kick the tires on, and evaluate so that we can all be on the same page and start working towards execution. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. My name is Gerard Hudspeth. I'm asking for your vote for County Commissioner. So I just want to say this. I want to start off by saying this, and I have to jot it down just to make sure I don't miss anything with the shortened time frame. You know, the one thing I'll point out is that things have changed in the county, undeniably. So when you talk about the county, you used to have an open field, it would develop, and then it'd get annexed into the local city. You go back to roads and open field. Those days are gone. You're managing a city. You're managing a mud, a pit. I managed a city for the last 5 years. So I refuse to accept the fact that I've not done the job. I've done the job for the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, I was first elected in 2017. I've never run unopposed. And I've always had a progressive after me, and we keep winning. And you can read the paper, they document everything I do very well. And you can see we keep winning. 2017 we won, 2019 we won, 2020 we became mayor, 2022 And in 2024, that's the only time I wasn't able to get rid of one of my sitting council members because they all decided, hey, we keep losing, I'm not gonna run again. The Democratic Party chair has already been chirping online. She's concerned that if I win, I'm gonna bring new energy to this and I'm gonna get stuff done and I'm gonna change things at the local level. You've not heard anyone talk about that. The local level. That's the school. Do the math on how much taxes you pay in Denton ISD taxes. We had one representative there. I'm going to work there to change that day one. And then also I'll say what I've done out here at Robeson Ranch. I work with Don Duff, may he rest in peace. And the progressive member that redistricted the ranch was gone immediately. So that's boots on the ground, in the ranch, getting it done, and winning against the progressive, and that's what we've got to do countywide. And then we also have to make sure, shout out to Councilmember Williams, because we don't want this to be, he's done a great job, Highway 380. We don't want this area gridlocked like 380.
All right, trust me, I want to be elected, trust me. Everybody will tell you that. And we really can only go on our experiences. The last 6 years I've been on the State Republican Executive Committee, the SREC. And the delegates convention passed rules related to censuring those representatives that didn't work for the party, work for their legislative priorities. This session, we confirmed the county censures of 10 state reps. Now, due to some politics that happened at the highest levels and a call from Trump, we did not block them from the ballot, but we did actually censure for the first time 10 state reps and confirm that. I did what I was elected to go down to the state party and do. As precinct chair here in Denton County and in Tarrant County, I've recruited and helped hundreds of precinct chairs over the years with block walk lists and different things, help candidates with voter lists, help get them elected. When people ask me for things, I deliver to them. And sometimes that's hard to find in a volunteer situation, which is all the county party is. Everybody, all those Republicans are all volunteers. I will continue to do what you asked me to do. And I have been doing it, and I'll continue to do it. Thank you.
Question.
Sure. Why should voters trust you to represent their interests effectively? Or alternatively, what experiences have you had
Thank you.
that enables their trust?
I have a list on the back of my push card that tells you some of the things that I've done. I can tell you that when I said we'd get a traffic signal out here at Cleveland Gibbs, we got one. You can look at my record starting when I was county chair of the Denton County Republican Party for 14 years. While I was county chair, no Democrat was elected to a partisan office. People trusted me because I did what I said I would do. And I'd like to point out, you can look at my record, you can see what I've done. I have a strong record that I'm running on. My opponents are great people, they're likable people, and they're going to tell you what they want to do, what they hope to do, what they wish to do. I'm showing you what I have done, and what I shall continue to do for you if you honor me by putting me back in office for another 4 years. It's something I enjoy, and if I could, do I have time to finish my story? Okay, here we go. So here comes this lady, and very nice lady, and she told the court about the house she and her husband had bought in Prosper, right across from the school, around the corner from the fire station. They loved the house. And then she said, but 6 months ago, my husband began having chest pains, and I called 911, expecting those firemen from around the corner to come and help. Instead, they found that the contract the developer had for fire services was with Aubrey, 20 minutes away. By the time they got there, her husband was dead. I was on the dais and I almost burst into tears. We can't have this happening, I said. So we began to develop a fire plan for the entire county where the closest responder will respond, not the cheapest responder. I think our citizens, our residents deserve to know that if their house is on fire, if there's chest pains, they're going to get the closest help possible. And I want to make sure that that happens throughout the county. We have Commissioner Williams here tonight. He's helping with this, and we're trying to make it go throughout the entire county, and I want to make sure that happens.
Was sent in by a couple people, and I kind of had to put two of them together to make a very long question. First part is, why should voters trust you to represent their interests effectively? Or, alternatively, what experiences have you had that enables them to trust you with that?
Okay, that's a good question because I struggle with trust. One of my motto is trust but verify. Okay, and this is a Republican primary. I am a conservative Republican. I do not want additional government. My voting record will be online for everybody to see, my years and years of consistent, active Republican voting. I do not want additional government anywhere. And why should folks trust me? Okay, so, do as I do, not as I say. And I have lived a life of walking the walk, walking the talk, whatever that phrase is. As a farmer rancher, we are trained to do more with less. Again, when we have problems, we identify that problem and how are we going to fix it? And so I apply that to so many different things that we've done and done successfully in our life and building our facility. I have to come up with one example, 1 minute left, is, we built a biofuels facility at our farm up in Cook County, and we have a massive boiler up there, and one problem we had was Hearst Boiler out of Georgia said $2 million to pipe it, keep your checkbook open. They were going to bring in product and men and everything for 2 months, all the way from Georgia to do the install. And so we said, no, we're going to figure out how to pipe this ourselves. I've got 2 engineers here on staff, and I'm going to find where to source this. So I started sourcing. I'm not an engineer, but I started sourcing all of those components, and I think we did it for a couple of $100,000, and then I got with the state of Texas, and we had our inspection, and everything was nice and excellent done. And it was a great sense of accomplishment, and building that rapport with our employees as well. They got a great sense of satisfaction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So it's a lot to put thoughts into 2 minutes, but we're ranchers, we live in the county. I don't have city services. So we have always had this mentality that we're on our own. And I've put out pasture fires, driving a tractor real fast around in circles to put those out. But the point is when we did have an issue 2 or 3 years ago, and it was a very unique issue, and being ranchers with land, we constantly feel the feeling of a little bit of government overreach and that desire to push us off our land to sell for development. We're not interested in doing that. So I had to dive in and figure out what's going on and who's making these decisions on the county level on some big issues. And we were not getting the support that we needed. I was very frustrated seeing gaps in the process. Now, I'm one of those that you can't complain if you don't dig in and do something about it. So I'm here to do something about it, and I'm at a unique point in my life in that I haven't worked for anybody for 20 years. We're very ingrained in this community, and I want to see the growth be handled correctly and some of these problems, the deficiencies that I see. And all of Denton County is pretty good, but when I identify deficiencies, I know that I can fix them. And I bring a perspective of wanting to run this precinct like a business, run that county portion like a business. And then I look at how have I run my businesses in the past, both in small companies as well as larger companies where I've managed a lot of employees and a lot of revenue. And when you're the one driving the revenue, you're responsible for the revenue side of the budget as well as the expense side, and managing people and motivating them and incenting them. And so I dig in when I find a problem, and I agree with some of these folks who said this position is about solving problems. And I actually enjoy problems in the sense that it's the new challenge. And I'm going to be the squeakiest wheel out there, but to come up with ideas and pull in resources. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, let me set a few facts straight. First of all, yes, the sheriff is working with 287G to work with ICE to make sure that any illegals that need to be detained all. So there's a huge difference right there. Why do I want to continue being county commissioner? Well, let me just start out by saying I love this job. I love meeting people, I love helping with problems, and I think there are a lot of you out there who will agree, I've been helping to solve problems. Look at your traffic light out there on Cleveland Gibbs. That was thanks to the hard work and the leaning on that I did. There are still projects I want to see completed. One of them is Strader Road. We need this one east-west corridor to go clear from 156 to 35. Another one that I want to see completed is, thank you, the county fire protection plan. We have been charged by the state with taking care of police and fire of the unincorporated parts of the county. Now here we're incorporated, we're in the city of county, so they are responsible for our fire and police protection. There are lots and lots of areas that have no municipality. We are responsible for those. That's what the sheriff does. He's our county policeman. And we have started an innovative and a very unique fire protection plan that ensures that the closest responder is who's going to come help if you have a fire or chest pains or whatever, not the cheapest responder. I can tell you all, if we had time, a story that just broke my heart, and that what God has started on this program. Several months ago, we had a lady come to Commissioner's Court at the opening of court. You're all welcome to come. You get 3 minutes to talk about anything you want. She came and told us how she and her husband had bought a house over in Prosper. I need to stop. You'll have to tune in again later for the end of the story.
Any questions?
Same question, sir. Y'all can be repeated. You got it.
I got it. Why do I want to? Okay.
As I said in my opening, I've spent my whole life getting people elected, depending on them to do what they say they're gonna do. I decided, after seeing so many problems, really, with the way the county's being run. You know, our elections are part of what the county does. You know, we had turmoil in the last presidential election, and they were gonna let illegal aliens vote. They trained us on this. I took out my camera and I filmed that, and we put it out on the internet, and went viral nationwide, and they changed that. That should never have gotten to that point. The county commissioners should have stepped up and said, no, don't do that. I will say no. As we grow, we do need to grow in the right way. We need to grow in a controlled way. We shouldn't be opening up 20,000 brand new houses with a little bitty hole to get through 35. That's just And so my son and daughter in law enforcement, my son-in-law is a Denton County sheriff, my daughter is a Fort Worth police officer. Public safety is very important to me. The county sheriff's department is down to 30% staffing. That's not good management on the county's part. And it's improved, it's getting better, but it still needs to be improved. There are many other parts of the county government. I decided to run because we don't need a county that has twice as much of a budget today as it did 8 years ago. That's not cutting your taxes. That's more government. And I don't want more government. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. We have had a number of questions submitted from our electorate out there, the people that we have in Robeson Ranch, all across the ranch, and we were able to kind of narrow them down a little bit, but we undoubtedly will leave something out that you may want to have heard answered, but that's why we go through the process of gathering all this information. So I'd like to start here, Gerard, and we'll work our way down. Everyone get a chance at it. Question number one is, and part of you have answered this in your opening remarks, but why do you want to be Precinct 4 County Commissioner?
Okay. Again, my name is Gerard. I'm asking for your vote. And so why I want to be Precinct 4 County Commissioner is, again, to bring a new energy, a new focus, and to, you know, the difference is, I believe, is that we have an understanding of what's here now. You get presented regularly what's happening now. What's missing is the forward look at things. What are we going to do in the future? Tom Thumb will open in a few months, and we've not talked about what we're going to do. So I want to start talking about what we're going to do. Start incorporating the ranch and other communities into what do we want 35W to look like? What impact can we have? What's already solidified? Let's look at those plans forward-looking as well as current. So currently here where we are, that's a current reality, but the forward-looking components from a housing standpoint, from an infrastructure standpoint, and then also from just a relationship with our state partners as well to make sure we're getting the grant funds we need, we're getting the opportunities we need, the jobs, that sort of thing. Understanding the county doesn't benefit from sales tax, so we have to make wise decisions there. And also, lastly, I want to bring the county's already focused on it, but I want to focus on safety as well. We've got to support Sheriff Murphy as he begins to work with ICE, as he begins to make sure citizens are here only, and then make sure our communities are safe and that they're patrolling, they're working speed patrol. Those things are gonna have my complete focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard.
Good evening. My name is Gerard Hudspeth. I currently serve as the mayor, and I'm asking for your vote for County Commissioner Precinct 4. I'm asking you to talk to your friends and talk to them about what you hear tonight. Share that information, and please contact me. I'm seeking their support as well. I think this boils down to I'm a conservative. I believe in conservative values. I've spent the last 5 years fighting the woke agenda. I have over $1 billion worth of road construction under my belt there in the city of Denton. City of Denton's a full service city. So our budget, $2.5 billion. The county's budget, $400 million. So we deal with water, wastewater, and I've been doing so. I came in as the mayor when the woke kind of council members swept into office, and I've been sweeping them out ever since. I'm down to my last two, and so I know, thank you very much, I appreciate that, I'm proud about it too. It's been tough, but this group's helped me. And so I want to bring that same energy to the county commissioner seat. I want to help with the traffic congestion in this area. It's not only just an irritant, it is also an impediment to economic development. We can't have cities that are working hard to bring in economic development and the county not come in and support them and make sure people can get to those places and shop and do those things. I think it's critical for the next county commissioner, which would be, I hope I'm asking for your support again, to do so, would get very active at the local level. At every city, because stop me if you've heard this before, that we've got to get a hold of the local taxes. When you're talking about lowering taxes, the state has done its job lowering taxes. The county has lowered taxes, but the school board, and the city council were not active as a party, and not as much as we can be. I want to bring a new energy to that. Thank you very much.
For having us tonight. I'm pleased to be here among a lot of other fellow conservatives. So what makes a county commissioner a conservative? Well, I think there are lots of things, but one or two that we know for sure would be taxes, and then effective and efficient government. So let's look at those two things. Taxes. Y'all, I have voted 6 times to lower your taxes from the county. Every chance I get, I vote for lower taxes. And I've also been very involved in things that I think you are enjoying right now. The first ever homestead exemption I carried for Denton County. How about the senior tax freeze that I know many of us here in this room are enjoying? That was mine. And I was delighted to bring that forward for all of us. The governor liked that idea so well that he did it statewide. So we've got some very important tax things that I have done that show that I am a conservative. I'd like to also talk about efficient and effective government. Let's put those two terms together and talk about roads. Thank you. We have brought in tens of millions of dollars into Denton County from other sources to help augment our county road budget. It's been very, very successful. As a general rule, for every dollar that the county puts in, we get $8 back from other sources. So I think I'm doing a good job in investing your money. I'd like to also talk about something that came up shortly after I became a commissioner. Corruption was discovered in the Emergency Services District. We had to step in, and I did immediately. We replaced the entire board with some people that were not only professional and competent, but were honest. And then we went about replacing and preserving those firemen's pension plans. That's what had happened. Those plans have been raided. We replaced them, and I'm very happy to tell you that every one of those were replaced at what they should be. Thank you.
How are y'all doing tonight? I am David Wylie, and I live in Argyle. About 10 years ago, I met my lovely wife. I spent all my life in Arlington. I was born and raised there, worked with the Republican Party there. Back in the 90s, Tarrant wasn't the red stronghold it is today. We've got every office elected Republican countywide, just as they've done up here in Denton. And I was part of that movement then, and I'm part of the movement now. The Republican Party, getting good people elected, has been my primary goal. We get them elected, and then we try to hold them accountable. Maybe they go the right way, maybe they don't. Lately, we've gotten some great people elected, and they are doing what we ask them to do. These state reps, local people, they will tell you that they're doing what you want them to do. Sometimes you've got to hold their feet to the fire. I can do that. I have done that. Mitch Little, Andy Hopper, they both have endorsed me in my race. Former county chairs, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, Matt Rinaldi, they endorsed me in my race. I want to be your county chair or your county commissioner because the growth and the future of Denton County is here in the Southwest. All that open land you see from here to Wise County is going to have something developed in it. That's going to be controlled and directed by the county commissioners. Your roads north and west out of here, which haven't gotten built, need to get built. You have to have other ways other than that little bitty hole you got in the bridge over there in 35 to get through. And all the new stuff coming in, look west, look north. Let's build more in Denton County in the future, and I want to be the guy to do that. David Wylie, thank you very much.
Experience in sales and marketing and operations, managing folks and budgets for revenue within the telecommunications and broadcasting industry. Prior to that, I received my undergrad in economics from the University of North Texas, and then my MBA from the University of Dallas over in Irving. After college, I wanted to mention that 18 years of corporate experience. It was a lot of travel and managing a lot of people, and it was a pretty crazy time, but I really enjoyed that part of my life. I am a Christian, was raised by Christian parents, and married to a Christian, and it's very important. My faith is very important in the core of who I am. When my husband Michael and I moved to Denton County, south of Argyle, we bought a ranch. We're a cow-calf operation. We also built a farm in Minnesota and another farm in Cook County where we grow soybeans still yet today. So for the past 20 years, we've been managing those properties as well as started a family business whereby we were selling into the renewable energy industry some very specific controller applications. But all of that aside, the kids are in college now, they don't need me, and I told my husband that I officially resigned as being his farm hand. I'm 56 years old, it's 100 degrees in the summer, and I'm tired of climbing over the side of a grain cart, breaking nails, and fixing greasy things. So, I'm here now, we're staying in this community, we're dying in this community, and I want to be a part of the growth. And so I want to bring my skills and acumen and experience to be the best county commissioner you've had in Precinct 4, to be the most accessible, hardworking, and innovative. And I thank you. I hope I earn your vote.
Thank you.
So the time frame that we have to answer some of these questions that some of our residents have submitted is going to be
2 minutes. Here's your record keeper, your timekeeper. 1 minute, and then shut up. Then you get the cane. So where are we gonna start? 1 or 4? Okay.
we'll start one and work down to 4.
We're gonna start at 1.
I have a question. I have a question.
No, you have an answer.
No. How long do we get for close? Okay, 2 and 2.
2 minutes opening statements, 2 minutes closing statements, 2 minutes.
Okay,
That way we don't get any confusions. 2.
okay.
So let's start with opening statement now.
Okay, and I'm gonna stand up because I'm a Walker standard, if that's all
Thanks,
right with you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Valerie Roehrs, and I think you'll get to know a lot of us, our positions on things once we get into Q&A, but I want to take a quick minute to go through some bullets about